You think you know pizza? I'm about to prove that everything you've been told is a lie. Forget that charming story about a queen and a patriotic chef. The real story of pizza is insane. And it didn't start in some cozy Italian restaurant. This is the story of how a dirt-cheap ancient flatbread conquered the entire planet. Everyone loves pizza. It's the perfect food. That perfect combination of crust, sauce, and cheese feels universal. And when you think of pizza, you think of Italy and that cute story about a queen visiting Naples. But that story is just one tiny chapter in a massive, epic saga. The truth is, the pizza you ate last week has a secret ancestor from thousands of years ago, way before Italy was even a country, and before anyone in Europe had ever seen a tomato. To find the real origin of pizza, we have to go back in time to the crowded streets of an ancient Greek port city to uncover a secret that's been hiding for over 2,600 years. Okay, our story begins not in a pizzeria, but with the flatbread itself. And these things are incredibly ancient. We're talking 10,000-year-old traditions, literally just grinding grains and water, which all started in the Middle East. Cultures from Mesopotamia to Egypt had their own versions of this simple bread cooked on hot stones. The Greeks had their plakous, and the Romans had what was basically a primitive focaccia. These weren't pizza, but they were a blank canvas. They were topped with the cheapest stuff you could find, a little olive oil, some salt, and herbs. There's even an ancient poem, the Aeneid, where the heroes eat their thin wheaten cakes that they were using as plates. Sound familiar? For centuries, this was it. Flatbreads were everywhere in the Mediterranean. But for this boring bread to become the pizza we love, it needed one specific city, a unique culture, and incredible hardship. It needed Naples, a city founded by Greeks around 600 BC, where this ancient tradition was about to get a crazy upgrade. Fast forward to the 17th and 18th centuries. Naples was one of the biggest and most crowded cities in Europe, but it was also riddled with insane poverty. The city was filled with a massive group of working poor, known as the Lazzaroni. They lived brutal lives and needed food that was unbelievably cheap and could be eaten on the go. That ancient flatbread was the perfect answer. Pizza wasn't made in restaurants. It was the ultimate street food, sold by vendors called pizzaioli. They would carry their pizzas in huge copper containers, slicing off pieces for literally pennies. In 1843, Alexandre Dumas, the guy who wrote The Three Musketeers, visited Naples and was fascinated. He saw that pizza was the main food for the city's poor, eaten for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He described pizzas with lard, basil, and even small fish. He noted a slice cost just a couple of cents. This wasn't a celebrated dish, it was survival fuel, born from pure hardship. But the one ingredient that would change everything was still missing. That game-changing ingredient was the tomato. When it was brought to Europe from the Americas in the 16th century, people weren't excited. They were terrified. Many Europeans, especially the rich, literally believed it was poisonous because it's a nightshade. For decades, it was just a decorative plant. People looked at it. They didn't eat it. But on the poor streets of Naples, desperation led to innovation. The city's poor, who were more worried about starving than what some rich botanists thought, started experimenting with this weird fruit. They discovered it wasn't poisonous at all. In fact, it was amazing, especially spread over their cheap flatbreads. By the mid-19th century, this once feared fruit was the go-to pizza topping in Naples. The combo of tomato, garlic and herbs created the pizza marinara, named for the marinai, or fishermen, who ate it. The foundation for modern pizza was finally complete. All it needed was a legendary story to make it famous. This brings us to the most famous story in pizza history, and it might be a total lie. The year is 1889. The King and Queen of Italy, Umberto I and Margherita, are visiting Naples. The story goes that the Queen got sick of all the fancy French food and demanded to try a local dish. So, the most famous pizza chef in Naples, Raffaele Esposito, was summoned. He supposedly made 3 pizzas for her. 2 were normal, but the third made history. Esposito created a pizza with red San Marzano tomatoes, white mozzarella cheese, and green basil. It wasn't random. These were the colours of the brand new Italian flag. The Queen was supposedly blown away, and Esposito, in a genius marketing move, named it Pizza Margherita after her. This, the legend says, is when pizza got the royal seal of approval. But is this incredible story even true? Historians found some huge problems. For one, there are no official records or news articles from that time that mention this. The only proof is a thank you note, supposedly from the Queen, that's still at Pizzeria Brandy. But analysts say the stamp and paper don't match other royal letters, which means it might be a fake, created decades later. On top of that, a pizza with tomato, mozzarella and basil was already being made in Naples 20 years before the Queen even visited. The name Margherita might just come from the Italian word for daisy because of how the cheese looked. The story, true or not, was the spark pizza needed to go global. The final chapter of pizza's world domination wasn't written in Italy. It was written in America. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, millions of Italians, many from Naples, moved to the United States. They brought their culture, their language, and their recipes. In cities like New York and Boston, pizza was reborn. At first, it was just like in Naples, sold on the street or in small cafes to other immigrants. It was a taste of home. For decades, pizza was just an ethnic food. But what lit the fuse for pizza's global explosion was World War II. Hundreds of thousands of American soldiers were stationed in Italy, where they discovered pizza and fell in love with it. They came back to America craving it, creating a massive new demand across the country. Entrepreneurs went crazy. Pizzerias started popping up everywhere, adapting the classic pizza to American tastes, with way more toppings and bigger crusts. The rise of pizza chains sealed the deal. From there, it conquered the world, with every culture adding its own insane twist, from pineapple in Canada to squid in Japan. So the next time you pick up a slice, think about its incredible history. This isn't just fast food, it's a story of survival, creativity and migration that's thousands of years old. It started with the simplest flatbread in the ancient world. It was perfected in the extreme poverty of 18th century Naples. It was revolutionized by a fruit that everyone thought was poison and made legendary by a possibly fake story about a queen. And finally, it was carried across an ocean by immigrants and sent worldwide by soldiers. From a meal of pure desperation to a food beloved by billions, the real story of your pizza shows how the most humble beginnings can lead to the most extraordinary places. If you enjoyed uncovering that delicious history, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button for more deep dives into your favourite foods. And let us know in the comments, what's your all-time favourite pizza topping?